Hello, beautifuls. This is Atleen, and I'm coming to you with another video. Okay, so throughout the preparation of the CCNA exam, there will be TCP and IP applications useful to help manage and control a network. So we will name 10 or so tonight and continue with TCP and UDP the following day. And do I know this already questions? And this is all from volume 2, and the book is Odom Window for CCNA 200-301. So the first one is port number 20, and the protocol's description is FTP, File Transfer Protocol. And this FTP transfers files with a remote host. It's a TCP connection created by an FTP client and server for the purpose of transferring data, FTP. And as you can see, it says 20 and 21. So the 21 will be a TCP, a FTP connection. This is a FTP data as well as a FTP connection. So this one is 20. The FTP data is 20. The FTP connection is 21. And it's still a TCP port. In contrast to a UDP port, it's a TCP port. And it's 21 is FTP connection. And this is a TCP connection initiated by an FTP client to an FTP server for the purpose of sending FTP commands that direct the activities of the connection. The next TCP port is 22 and is an SSH secure shell. And this is an application that supports terminal emulation. Terminal emulation is the ability to make one computer terminal. And it supports terminal emulation between a client and a server using dynamic key exchange and encryption to keep the communication private. Secure shell, like when you use a credit card over the internet. It secures it, keeps it private, encrypts it. TCP port 22 again is SFTP, secure FTP. Secure shell file transfer is a file transfer protocol that assumes a secure channel, such as encrypted SSH connection, which provided the means to transfer files over the secure channel. Very similar. 22 and 22, very similar. TC port 23, Telnet, is a protocol that allows you to connect to remote computers called host over a TCP IP network, such as the internet. And another note for Telnet that you may want to write on your flashcards as well is that a Telnet provides users with a bidirectional, interactive, text-oriented communication system utilizing a virtual terminal connection over 8 byte. The next TCP port is port number 25, which is a SMTP, simple mail transfer, send emails, and this is an internet standard communication protocol for electronic mail transmission. For example, mail servers and other messages and other message transfer agents use SMTP to send and receive mail messages. Next TCP port is 53, domain name system. The domain name system allows users to use names to refer to computers, with DNS being used to find the corresponding IP addresses. So you won't have to memorize all the numbers. You could go by the names. The IP addresses are very long, 32 bits. So the domain name system resolves the domain name to correspondence addresses, IP addresses. I guess that would be the key term, is IP addresses. This makes it a lot easier, a lot simpler for end users. And DNS is used by UDP port, as you can see, 53 and 53 in both columns, TCP port as well as UDP port. 53, TCP port. Domain name system. Both ports use this. Is the protocol. Domain name system. 69, UDP port. 69, TFTP, trivial file transfer. And traditionally, to move files to and from a router to a switch, Cisco used trivial file transfers, which defines a protocol for basic file transfers. Files with a remote host. And again, it's a 69 TFTP, and it's a UDP, uses UDP as the port. 70 also uses UDP, and that's the DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration. And this protocol is used by hosts to dynamically discover and learn an IP address, DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration, and learn the correct subnet mask, default gateway, DNS server IP address. This is all done with the DHCP. UDP, port 70. A common TC port is port 80, and a lot of us use that. HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And it is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol used by the web browser World Wide Web, www, and web servers to transfer files such as text and graphic files. Last but not least is 110 and also TCP port. I'm port 110. Post Office version 3 protocol is useful by POP3 protocol for unencrypted access to electronic mail. This port is intended for end users to connect to a mail server and retrieve messages. POP3. Okay, so we are reaching the 11 timestamp mark, and with these ports, with these port numbers, it's good to use flashcards because this will be on the CCNA exam. It may be multiple choice, drag and drop, but yeah, these are emphasized to study for the exam. 110 POP3, 80 HTTP, 70 DHCP, 69 TFTP, 53 DNS uses UDP and TCP, 25 SMTP, 23 Telnet, 22 SFTP, 22 SSH, 20 FTP data, 21 FTP connection. So as you can see, some of these applications use TCP and some use UDP. For example, like I stated, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, SMTP, and Post Office Protocol version 3, POP3, both are used for transferring mail, and they do require guaranteed delivery. So they use TCP. Again, this would be good to get flashcards for these for the CCNA exam. (20, 21 FTP, 22 SSH, FTP, 23 Telnet, 25 SMTP, 53 DNS, 69 TFTP, 70 DHCP, 80 HTTP, 110 POP3. So this is not going to be the last time that you see this, guys. It's going to be on the exam. In one form, way, fashion, it's going to be on there. So regardless of which transport layer protocol is used, applications use a well-known port number so that clients know which port to attempt to connect to. And we just discussed several popular applications and their well-known ports. Okay, so tomorrow we will continue with this discussion. We're getting close to 15 minutes. I didn't want to go over 15 minutes. Okay, so I wish you well. Flashcards is going to be the key for these port numbers, to know them and learn them. I wish you well.